Hello and welcome to your next big shift, an identity workshop. I'm Emily and I have the beautiful Dahlia here as guest expert. And so before we dive in and everything, we're just going to do a really short, quick little intro in case you're new to our world. So I'm Emily. I'm a mental health mentor. I'm also an organizational consultant and a behavioral scientist now as well. Just started my PhD. And Dahlia is a life and mindset coach. And we met in our masters doing organizational consulting. So she's also got that as a background too. But Dahlia, introduce yourself, why don't you?
First of all, I'm so excited to be here. Hello, everybody. I'm Dahlia. Like Emily said, I'm a life and mindset coach. My background is in psychology, and I primarily support women in really finding the clarity and the courage to finally choose themselves, and really supporting them in transforming any fears, which we're going to go into some of this in the workshop, into unshakable confidence so you can actually live a life that truly lights you up and feels just as good as it looks.
Now, what I love about Dahlia's work is that it really, really aligns also and serves my audience because I work with survivors now turned social entrepreneurs or aspiring social entrepreneurs. And I feel that a big piece of what holds us back in this next step, this next big shift, stepping into our purpose and fulfilling our potential and self-actualizing, etc., is a lot of the self-limiting beliefs and the self-sabotaging behaviors and the self-doubt that is kept us small, and for survivors, it's really, really, really important work and relevant work. And so I feel it really aligns beautifully with your work and your focus. So I love that. And that is why actually I asked you to collaborate on this and have you on. Yay. Okay. I do recommend a pen and paper to take notes because this is a workshop. Also, please don't listen to this when you're driving or doing the dishes, or if you do, at least come back to it. This is a replay after all, but we do recommend that you take the time to sit and actually dedicate the time to doing this work. It's an interactive workshop. We're going to give you prompts. We're going to say pause and then fill it in, do the work, la, la, la. There's a visualization as well coming up. So you need to be in a space where no one's going to disturb you as well.
Okay. I would also just add to that, if you want to make like a little session out of it, like whether it's putting some background music on, obviously when you're doing the prompts, or add in a little candle or add in some scents or whatever it is, just really get into it. And I think when you invest in it invest your time in it as if this is a paid workshop, that you're actually put the time and the money and all of those things into it, you're going to gain so much out of it when you really put the energetic side into it of I'm treating this as this is something that's really important, and this is going to be the thing that's going to help me to really shift into that next level of who I'm becoming as well.
By the way, this is going to be part of my paid programs, right? And so this is just a Black Friday freebie, a gift for those of you who are watching, but otherwise it is a part of my paid program. So totally, yes, commit, show up, give yourself some space to do this, because it's important work. And I will dive in a minute why I want to do this, although it feels like that would be the natural progression here. But let's just do a little intro to what to expect in the workshop. Okay, so together, courtesy of ChatGPT, because I fed it what we're going to do and it made it sound much better than I could ever say it. So let's see what it put together for us. Psychology of identity shifts. Why your brain resists change, how to work with it instead of fighting against it. This is something that I'll be covering later on in my section of the workshop. Anchoring your next level identity, guided process to clarify and lock in the version of you that your next chapter requires. Dahlia will be covering that predominantly. Tools that make change stick, cognitive, somatic, mindset, narrative techniques you can use immediately to reinforce the shift long after the workshop ends. That's something both of us are probably going to be covering. And a new internal reference point. Again, both of us will probably be covering that. So that you stop slipping back into the old patterns, start showing up as the woman you are becoming. Yes, that is the goal, right? We're going to anchor in this next identity shift. By the way, this is why I did the workshop, because I needed help anchoring in my next big shift. And I was like, why don't I do this publicly and bring you along to join me for the ride, see how I do it. Which is also why I brought Dahlia on as support, accountability, to make sure that I get this shit done, because it is important work and I'm doing it myself as well. So there you go. Now, what you're going to walk away with, this is what we hope you get out of this workshop. Clear identity anchor for your next big shift. A plan for reinforcing that identity daily, very important. Tools to dismantle old beliefs and conditioning, that's my forte. And a deeper understanding of who you're becoming and how to step into her now. Okay, so that's the stuff that we hope you're going to get out of this. Okay, so why it matters. This is a little piece that I thought was relevant to put in here, okay? we learn by example, right? Why you have your accent, why you speak the language that you speak, why you gesticulate the way you gesticulate. It's because we pick it up from our surroundings. We learn by example, by other people, whether they intend to teach us or, like impact us in that way or not. It's how humans learn, right? So what we consume and what we expose ourselves to, it matters. That's why I consciously consume content that's going to help me with my identity shift. Another little piece there. But how we lead ourselves also then matters. Self-leadership, who we are being, it matters because we are leading by example, whether intentional or conscious or not, whether we mean to or not. We are teaching the people around us and we're impacting them and they're learning from us. Like our kids are picking it up, our friends are picking it up. Like I see that I'm consuming workshops from other women and I start speaking like them. Or like even the beginning of the workshops, I'm like, welcome. It's like a game show host, And that's because that's what we consume. That's what we're exposed to. When you're presenting something, you're going to present a voice, And like because we learn by example. And so this, I think, is to flip that around and be like, you're leading by example. Let's be more intentional with how we're leading, who we're being, right? Who we're becoming, and just get very conscious about that. So yeah, I feel that's why it matters as well. Like beyond fulfilling your potential and self-actualizing, it's part of it, but it matters because we're impacting people, right? So
And I think the only thing I just wanted to add, just to kind of like emphasize as well, is that anything that Emily or I are sharing with you in this workshop is literally things that we're implementing and we've implemented in our own lives as well. And this is the work, like we're literally sharing with you the things that we're doing. And I think it's just important to share that this is a lifelong thing that you can keep on going back to, because we're going to go into this more in the workshop, but identities is something that we keep on up leveling and keep on shifting, just like a child, like they're a baby and then they're a toddler and then they're whatever, like they keep on growing and they don't stay in that version. They keep on evolving, they keep on growing, and we're the same and we don't always necessarily notice or realize that, but we can continue to go back to this work every time that we're focusing on that next level identity shift. And there's a lot of power in deepening that and going back to what we're sharing with you now as well.
Amen. Yes. This is stuff you can rinse and repeat. And that's the idea of building a toolbox, right? We'll be sharing tools from our toolbox that we use, that we go back to again and again. Okay. And by the way, another piece of identity. So I just wanted to share here, Dalia and I, as I mentioned, we met in our masters, but that was 8 years ago now when we started, right? Fuck. Shit. Like a long time. Since we started the masters, Dalia, I have gotten married, had 3 kids, started a business, built a business, and started my PhD. That's a lot of identity shifting. In 8 years, I have had like probably my biggest identity shift in the time since the year that I met you was the year that everything changed for me. Like literally, I call it my rebirth. It happened like a couple of months before I started the masters. And I just wanted to ask you, just to kind of inspire a little bit here, how much we can change as well. Tell me a little bit about Dalia then versus Dalia now.
I would just share that I literally got chills when you were sharing with that, because I've had the honor of actually watching from the sidelines, and not just from the sidelines, all of your identity shifts and getting to know you then and where you are now. And it's just so beautiful to see that evolution and that transformation. And just, I don't even see it. This is just coming through right now, but I don't even see it as becoming someone that you're not. I feel like it's just becoming closer to who you always were and who you're actually meant to be. And that's like the beauty of this work. On my side, wow, the Dalia back then was the most shy person on the planet. And if you would have told her that she would be leading a workshop right now,
Can you imagine
or
me doing this then?
yeah, speaking on camera and with a microphone, I would have been like, yeah, that would never happen ever. Like I was so shy.
I was so quiet. She was so quiet, and I was the class rep. So everyone knew me and I spoke to everyone and I was in charge of all the things. And I think I only spoke to you because I was class rep, because I had to speak to everybody about things, I think otherwise we probably wouldn't have spoken, because I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I had a really good friend in my first degree before we started studying together, and she didn't even know I existed. Like it was down to that level that she was like, you were just so quiet at the back of the class. I didn't even know that you were there. And that's literally what I was like. I was so shy and so introverted. And so it wasn't even introverted. It was like, I was so conscious around what everyone else thought all the time that I just didn't speak up. And
I knew that you were there. I very much knew you were there though, because one of my friends that I was friendly with in the thing really fancied you. He had such a crush on you. He did not shut up about you. So
Oh my
you're
God, we need
definitely
to
not
speak
like
after because I'm like, who
invisible.
is this?
Just FYI.
Hilarious. That's so funny. But yeah, like in terms of what you would probably see on the outside, like that was definitely a big shift that I've gone through as well. And in that time since we started studying together, I've solo traveled multiple countries in the world, which I never thought I would do in my wildest dreams. I've moved to Thailand, become a digital nomad, gone from employee to running my own business as well. Like so many different shifts, and it really is just unraveling so many layers and uncovering so many limiting beliefs that are holding us back. And it is beautiful to look back. Like I think something that I would just share that's really coming through for you ladies watching this right now is even I would challenge you to take a moment to look back on your life 5 years ago or 10 years ago and to see where you were and to just see how much you've grown and how many identity shifts that you've experienced and use that as fuel that like where you are right now is just gonna it's just like the tipping point
Imagine
that's
how
gonna
you
get
could
you. Yeah,
expedite that if you do the
yeah,
work. You know, if you
literally.
actually work, like we've done a shit ton of work in the last couple of years. So maybe we squeeze more into that time frame. But yeah, imagine what you can do. Yeah, we're gonna collapse time, aren't we? Um,
Amen.
Okay, cool. So I think both of us, I know that I spoke to this, that I have a tendency to over deliver. So I'm going to try and prioritize. Really hard for me to do. So I will try to be succinct and just keep it to like the main bits here. Because we really, this could be like a full course in itself. And I have courses on this stuff, right? But this workshop was actually, as I said, created to help me with my accountability and commitment to myself and my next big shift, right? And I knew others would want and need the same. So that's why I wanted to do it publicly with you, together with you. But I also wanted, I think that's important so that you see, like, we're not monks on a mountain. We're not gurus, you know, that are really inaccessible and we know some secrets that no one else has access to. No, like, we're just people, women doing the work out loud to help others do their work. I also wanted to just quickly shove in a little bit there that you brought up, Dalia, that it was important for us as well to show collaboration as opposed to competition. We have an overlap in our audiences, but we're not in competition with each other. We're collaborating because we share the love, sharing is caring. Some people will vibe with you, some with me, it doesn't matter. Like it was really important for us to show collaboration between women in business, even in the same niche. Right?
Yeah. And I would just add to that, there is so much beauty and power in women coming together, and we can just do so much more and go so much further together. And even if you are doing something similar to someone, like there's no, when you really understand that there's no lack and there's no scarcity, and it's just something we create in our own lives, it's like, wow, like we can just rise and go so much further together.
Limiting beliefs right there. So yeah.
Yeah.
So if we're going to redefine some beliefs, right, and like reframe some things. So I mentioned commitment, accountability, commitment, right? So I feel that these words often have a bit of a negative connotation. They feel heavy. They feel like a chore. So I just want to reframe them. I want to redefine it. So commitment, it's one of the pillars of self-development, right? I have my model that I use, MTM, Metatherapy model, and there's 4 pillars of self-development. One of them is commitment because it is about showing up again and again and committing to a process. And that, the way I see it, is repetition. It's how we learn. We learn through repetition, right? And so you have learned your bad habits, your self-limiting beliefs, your self-sabotaging ways. You pick that up through repetition. It has stuck. That is your default right now, right? And to rewire that, to reprogram that, you're going to have to commit to the repetition of what you do want, like the reprogrammed bits, the way you do want to think and believe and behave, etc. And so, and we will get to the reconditioning piece. I have a tool on that later, but I see commitment as repetition, basically, as how we learn. So commitment basically is learning, which basically is growth. If you value growth and you value learning, then commitment is just part of that. Like that for me is how I would reframe commitment, right? And then self-discipline. So for self-discipline, I saw it as boundaries in a way. Like I do this, I don't do that. It's a boundary, what I do, what I don't do. But boundaries give you clarity and they liberate you in a way, control. So for example, we resist self-discipline because it feels like we're being controlled. But then what is controlling us? The self-limiting beliefs and the self-doubt and the self-sabotage. Like self-discipline is actually you taking back your control, which for me completely flipped the script. Like it completely changed things for me. I was just like, holy shit. Self-discipline actually gives me back my power. I'm now in control. I'm now in the driver's seat. I'm choosing what I do, what I don't do, and I'm not letting my past, my traumas, my wounding, my self-limiting beliefs, my blah 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 take control of me like instead, right? So
I
that for
love
me
that.
was a like game changer, right? So, and I also just have a little analogy here with boundaries and connected to this is if you imagine you're crossing a bridge at night and you're driving a car and you're crossing a bridge at night and there's no walls on the bridge and there's no lights shining the road, there's no boundaries to the path, right? How confident are you going to be driving across that bridge?
Mm.
You're going to stay stuck because you're like, I can't see I'm not driving over that. Like I can't see it, right? So with a wall up and with a light shining, you have the confidence. You whiz across, you wouldn't even think about it. You just go across the bridge, right? You just drive. And so it gives you confidence. Boundaries really do give you confidence. And you see that with children. When you give them boundaries, they're far more confident. They know where they stand with things, you know? So self-discipline for me is freedom, empowerment, basically, and confidence. So that's a little something there for you to chew on. And after Dahlia's exercise, we're going to cover why we get stuck and why we really struggle stepping into that next version of ourselves. But before that, why don't we get clear on the next big shift, what those boundaries might look like, and get clarity on what we do and don't feel like doing, etc. So, Dahlia, take it away.
Okay, well, first of all, like Emily said at the beginning, we want you to be doing this when you are focused and you don't have distractions around, because you definitely want to have pen, paper, and some quiet space that you can actually take a moment to be with yourself and get really clear on that. So once you're in this space, welcome. Ladies, I want you to take a breath for a second whilst you're sitting down comfortably in your chair, wherever you're sitting. I want you to take a breath and feel into your body. You can actually start to close your eyes if you haven't have your eyes closed yet. And I want you to feel the version of you who walked into this space today. The woman who's been sensing the shift and quietly preparing for the up level. This is the woman who carried you through every breakdown and every breakthrough that you've experienced until now. And before we step into your next level identity today, I want you to take a moment to honor that version of you who brought you here. She was resilient, she was resourceful, and she did the best with what she knew. And she built the foundation that you now get to rise from. So this moment is a loving goodbye. And it's a loving goodbye to the patterns and the way of being that once kept you safe, accepted, or comfortable, but no longer fit the woman who you are stepping into. So if you want, you can give yourself even a little hug and lovingly start to say goodbye to those versions. And releasing old identities, releasing those past versions of ourselves is really like washing the dishes. You know how when you do it daily and you do it regularly, it's light, it's manageable, you don't think about it. But when you let it pile up, it becomes heavy. It becomes overwhelming. You don't want to do it. Resistance kicks in. So today, I want you to look at what we're doing as essentially washing the dishes. We are clearing up space. We are releasing with love the things that are no longer serving you. And we are closing the gap between who you were and who you're meant to be. And before you begin writing, I want you to place a hand on your heart. And I want you to imagine that your future self is walking towards you right now, the one who is already living the life that you desire. And she is grounded. She is powerful. She is a fucking queen. She is alive in her purpose. I want you to feel into that energy and feel her presence and feel her certainty, because today's journaling is how you collapse the timeline between you and between her. So take a little moment to feel into that. And when you are ready, you can take a loving breath and slowly open your eyes.
Made me a bit emotional there.
By the way, I'm glad that you said that, because I should probably say you might want to everything is welcome. Like, I would really invite you, anything that's coming up, whether it is in that little visualization, whether it is in the journaling, allow the emotions to come up, and they may come up afterwards as well. Like, give yourself the grace and the compassion and everything you need. And I'm sure Emily will go into that a little bit later as well. But it's very normal and very natural for emotions to come up. And It's part of the process as well. And when you release those emotions, you just clear out space for all the beautiful big things that you are calling into your life as well. Okay, so when we are ready, you can take your journal, take your pen and paper, and the first prompt that I want you to journal on, and I want you to contemplate and think about, is what is one identity shift that feels most alive for you right now? And this could be something small. It could be like a pattern. It could be something small and not so small. It could be, for example, for me, like me and Emily shared with you the different shifts that we've gone through in our lives. But it could also be different patterns. I've also experienced patterns in life of being that version who is super shy and super conscious around what everyone thought, and having to release parts of those to then be able to be on camera and express myself and be seen. It could be big things like going from working for someone to actually stepping into being a business owner and stepping into that version. There's so many different things, but I'm sure if you tap into that beautiful version of you when you closed your eyes and you saw her walking towards you, what is that identity shift and what is that thing that feels most alive for you right now?
Now, I just want to mention you can pause and like take the time that you need to answer these prompts to like fill in, the prompts. Or you could, fast forward, because I will be doing this in like this was the idea I actually wanted to implement. So I will be doing it. You can just skip or pause or whatever, however you feel you need. So okay, number 2. I'm quick, so that's good.
Number 2, and also we are going to provide a little, there'll be like a little document with the questions afterwards. If you want to go back to that separately, they'll be below if you want to go back to that. Like even if you want to keep on going back to the journal prompts without watching the whole workshop, we'll provide that for you as well. Number 2 is, what roles, habits, patterns, or parts of your current identity have you lovingly outgrown but held on to because they make you or others feel comfortable?
Mm-hmm.
This is so big, guys, because without realizing, a lot of things that we actually keep on doing and that we carry on and hold on to is literally to make others not feel uncomfortable. That's literally why we hold on to a lot of things.
I do want to just share here because I think it might be helpful, right, to give some examples. So for me, it's self-sacrificing, people pleasing, masculine energy of like do, like I have to be like productive and I can do and I can do and I can do everything and I can take it all on. Like that for me is a big piece of my identity that I found really hard to let go of. So just FYI.
Thank you for sharing that. And I will just add on to that and share just from my perspective, something that I'm literally still working through right now and taking it to a deeper level is playing the safe game with sharing content. And what I mean by that is that there's parts of me that I've definitely outgrown and I censor or hold back because I don't want to trigger anyone, or I don't want people to dislike me, or I don't want to disappoint people. That's like a big thing that I've worked through in my life. And I've definitely been, for a long time, I played it very safe in the content game of just saying the things on the right line and exactly what people want to say and not pissing anyone off and not triggering anyone. And something that I decided with myself recently is like, I'm done with that. And I may piss people off. People may hate me, but that's okay. The right people are going to be attracted. So it could be that is speaking to you as well.
Yep. I've literally we could talk about each one of this. It's going to take forever, but literally like I shift in the content game, right? I've decided to just be a lot more vulnerable. And like, I don't have to paint this picture that I'm all this put together person. It's like, I actually feel that vulnerability, authenticity, rawness, the imperfection is actually going to be far more relatable. And so I'm leaning hard into that with my content. Like people say I shouldn't say this and this is too honest, but I'm scared that I'm not going to fill my group program. Like I say that because that's what I'm feeling, and anyway, go on.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, number 3 is, what would feel freeing to say no to right now? And what is getting in the way of doing that? And another way you might want to think about this, because sometimes for everyone, it's like the reframing the question might help as well. You might even just want to think, oh, what are the things that are draining you energetically or emotionally? So those might be things that would feel really freeing to say no to. And in terms of what is getting in the way of doing that, you might want to look at the different fears that are coming up. It could be fear of losing someone, of losing something. For example, some people don't set any boundaries in them. It might be that you're a new business owner and you are taking on everything and doing all of the things, and you're not setting boundaries because you fear that if you don't do all the things, you might lose income. or you might lose certain people in your life if you say certain things or if you do certain things or whatever it is. Maybe it's the fear of disappointing someone. There's a lot of things that are coming up. But if you look at like what are the things that are draining you and what do you fear losing as a result of that, it might be helpful to then notice what would feel freeing to say no to right now and what is getting in the way of doing that.
Love it. Next one.
Number 4, what daily non-negotiables does your future self implement that you currently resist?
Sleep. Sleep hygiene. It's been my Achilles heel, my kryptonite, struggling with it all the time. Sleep. I keep saying, like, your next big shift comes when you fucking prioritize your sleep. And I've been saying it for 2 years, but yeah.
I'm glad that you brought that up because I think there's things specifically around sleep hygiene that we do have control over. Even if, like, for example, if you have a young baby, there's things that you can't always control. If baby's awake and you want to sleep, you can't always do that, right? And together with that, there's things in sleep hygiene that we do have control over. And those non-negotiable things that your future self is doing make a huge difference. For example, it could be that by 10 p.m. or by 9 p.m. or whatever it is, my phone is going in another room, or I'm turning my notifications off, or I'm doing X, Y, Z. And that is for me like signaling I'm having sleep hygiene. So I might not be sleeping as much or when I want to, but there's things I can still be doing that my future self, for her, that would be a non-negotiable.
Do you realize what I realized something like the other day, literally like this week, that I say to myself, like, baby's asleep, I'll just make a tea, a sleepy tea, chamomile tea. I'll just have my tea, but then I have to wait. I have to make it, then I have to wait for it to cool down. Then I have to sip on it and drink it. So then I get another hour of, like, procrastinating, putting off the sleep. And so I said to myself, dinner time, you finish dinner with the kids, you make your tea. Like, that's it. So you're not going to have that as a procrastination thing. So yeah, earlier.
I love that you realize that. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
And it's like that. This is, I'm really glad that you brought this up, Emily, because I think it's really important to emphasize and to remember that it does, like all of this that I've shared until now and all of what we've been sharing, you don't need to drastically change your life or have these massive shifts come out of this workshop. The small shifts and the small little intentional things you do, the compound effect of that makes a massive difference, even more than drastically like changing the trajectory of your life. So it's really important to remember, like literally instead of having a tea later in the day and you choosing to do that earlier, that is you being intentional, that's going to impact your sleep. And even if you get an extra 20 minutes of sleep or 30 minutes of sleep, the compound effect of that is going to be huge. So the small shifts really do swing big doors.
Yes. Next one.
Okay, this question I love. Number 5, what does your future self, what does her morning look like before the world asks anything of her? What is she doing? What is she being? What is she doing different to now? And I think as women, regardless to whether you are a mum or not, we have definitely been conditioned to look after everyone else and to put everyone else's needs before ourselves, before our own. What is she doing and how is she pouring into her own cup before the world or anyone asks anything of her? And it could be the most small, intentional 5-minute thing, but it's the intentionality more than the time behind it.
By the way, I have visualization for that if anyone wants bits in my in one of my programs. But yes, that's a very good one. Okay, next.
Number 6. What does she no longer tolerate out of respect for who she's becoming? This is really powerful because it's not that she's not tolerating it because of anger or because of resentment. She's no longer tolerating this out of respect for who she's becoming. And what boundaries does she hold with grace and power? What is she saying no to say yes to her? This might take some time to think about this, but I really want you to contemplate these things because it's big. And if you want, I can share some examples, just some things that are coming up as well. It could be someone is reaching, like it could even be with a client, for example, that maybe, especially if you're a new business owner, maybe you don't have clear boundaries of when you are responding and you think that if someone messages you, you have to respond straight away. And maybe that next version of you is setting those clear boundaries from a place of respecting who she's becoming as well. Maybe there's one day in the week where you are truly switching off. And if you tell someone that you are not responding that day, then you genuinely are not responding. And you're not available for every single last minute request or every time someone requests something from you. It could be like the small things like that, like saying no without feeling guilty and actually setting those boundaries that also make a big difference. Okay. Number 7, what does her self-talk sound like when no one is listening? What is she whispering to herself in moments of self-doubt? What is she telling herself when she makes a mistake and things go wrong? What is she telling herself around taking up space? How is she talking to herself? Because that is where the whole game starts to change. So
This
I
is
want you to
something
get
I'm
really
going
clear
to
on that.
build off of, by the way, in my bit.
Hmm.
And I just want to mention here, because you're bringing it up now, when I started in our masters, when I started learning to identify my self-talk, at first it was really hard because I was like, I'm not actually talking. Like, it's not that a voice
Yeah.
is in my head. I can't hear a voice saying, yeah, you suck or whatever, like it was more of a feeling. And I was like, I don't talk to myself. I'm not actually talking. It's not like I'm actually speaking in there. So what do I say? Like, I don't know what I say. But then I felt it. Like, I'm feeling like a failure. So I must be saying you're a failure. I'm feeling small. So I must be like, you're small and insignificant or whatever. So I figured out what the self-talk was when I tapped into the feelings. And then it got easier to identify what the self-talk was actually like. So just FYI.
Love that.
Let,
I
let
love
me
that. And
fill up
also
there.
just noticing your thoughts as well is a big one. Like when you're just aware around what's going through your mind, that is literally how you're talking to yourself, the thoughts that are coming up.
Yeah.
Um, number 8, if you were to fully and unapologetically show up as your elevated identity for the next 72 hours, what would look different? And again, this does not have to be huge things. It does not mean that you have to go out and buy a whole new wardrobe today or do some crazy things that you haven't done before. But what is the small little shifts that would lead to things looking and feeling differently? Um, Number 9, and the last question for today is who are you becoming in one sentence, and what is one mantra or reminder that your future self wants to anchor into for the next week? I want you to contemplate that, and I want you to take a little post-it note, or even in your notepad, take out a journal, take out a piece of paper, doesn't have to be perfect, and literally have it in front of you and look at it when you wake up. Before you go to sleep, have it in front of your laptop, wherever you're working, and remind yourself of these things because it's really easy to forget in the moment. Like, just for some content, guys, for some context, this is like a second time that we're recording this because Emily's computer literally crashed in the middle of the last recording. You're not going to notice this because we're going to put both of those together.
Thanks,
But
technology.
in honor of really being transparent and sharing you what this work does, one of the things that I was literally sharing with Emily when this happened is that, like, in the past, I would have completely freaked out about this and been like, oh my God, this is the worst thing on the planet. And I just stayed calm. I was like, well, it's out of our control. There's nothing we can do. We're just going to flow with the situation. So if you're not yet in that place, it could be that your mantra this week is, I stay calm in situations that are outside of my control. That could be a mantra. It could be that you are your mantra, or something that you're reminding yourself of, is that you are only choosing things that make you feel expanded and not contracted and not like restricting you. It could be that you are telling yourself, I am allowed to take up space, and that means you're expressing yourself. You get to decide whatever that means, but I'm just giving you some examples in case this is speaking to you in that direction as well.
By the way, I want to just say number 9, you can do this every week. That prompt every week, that could be a weekly prompt for you, right? To anchor in daily. And mantra wise, I have something for you at the end as well. So just FYI. Okay.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, when you are done, leaders, with the journaling prompts, first of all, I want you to give yourself a pat on the back, like literally, or clap your hands, or however that looks like for you, because
That was
this
awesome,
is,
by the way. Awesome.
yeah,
Like, I just want to share, I already have realized 2 things just from doing those prompts. One thing is that my motherhood, like being a mom and business, parallel process. There's identity shifts that are needed and like things that I'm working on, and it's parallel. It's like there's something that needs to be changed there in how I show up and how I perceive myself, and like, and it's similar in like there's a parallel process happening, and I find that happens a lot with self-development and business development, FYI. But I also found the other thing that I really, really liked, number was it number 7? Yeah, the self-talk piece. No. Number 9. In one sentence, the reminder. I think it's so powerful because what you've helped me realize doing these prompts is that I am doing better than I give myself credit for. I think when I look at motherhood and I'm like, and I look at the self-doubt and the business and motherhood and all of the things, right? And I even like going through the process and I'm like, I know this shit. Like I've done so much of this stuff. Like, and it's like, why are you doubting yourself? Like you've done so well. Like you don't give yourself credit for how much work you do and how much work you've already done and how far you've already come. Like you wanted to be a mum, you're a mum. And I've got these fears, like, am I doing a good enough job as a mum? Like I can do better. I can do better. And like I always strive to do better. And it's just like, give yourself credit that you're doing really good already. You're doing better than you give yourself credit for. And so that is my number 9 answer. And I wanted to say thank you for that.
I literally got chills when you were sharing that. And thank you, because I'm sure, actually, I don't have any doubt that a lot of women can definitely relate to that. And I think it's also such a powerful reminder of how we see ourselves differently to how other people see us. Because I can look at you, I'm like, you are superwoman, like you are a powerhouse woman on this planet, and we don't always see ourselves in that same light. And I'm the same as well. Like I could very much relate to what you were sharing as well. So thank you for sharing that and for being open about that, because I'm sure that a lot of women can relate to that too.
Yay.
But really give yourself a round of applause, pat on the back, whatever it is for really doing this work, because so many people get uncomfortable with this and they resist this. And the fact that you have got to this part in the workshop just shows how committed you truly are to yourself and to who you're becoming as well. So now I want you to take a breath into your heart and close your eyes. And I want you to imagine placing everything that you just wrote, taking all of those pieces of paper with all the fears, all the things that you're stepping into, and putting it all into this big bowl of light. Now, I want you to imagine that your future self is stepping forward. She is placing her hands over yours, and she is whispering, I am not ahead of you. I am inside you. You are not becoming me. You are remembering me. And I want you to feel her merging into you. And I want you to feel your certainty deepen. Because this is a moment that you stop trying to reach her and you start embodying her. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
I love that. I love that. And it's so aligned to what I'm going to do. Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, you are her. I used to have a mantra that I did every morning, and it ended with like, you are me, I am her, she is me, I am you, kind of. That was the end bit. Oh, yes, but I love it. Okay. I wonder whether I want to bring this point up. I will bring this point up. There is something that I wanted to mention that came up for me when we were doing your prompts as well, though, which is when you're letting go of limiting beliefs and the old version of you and like identity, it does often feel there's some resistance around it. Because it feels like self-abandonment. And survivors can get very triggered with that and freak out and be like, no, we're not letting go of that. And I'm going to now dig into why we really do get stuck and struggle with identity shifting. Okay, so getting clear on who we are becoming and, who we really are and all that stuff is a huge part of it. It's like layers, right? There's always all these layers. But the layer that I'm going to cover now is what's holding us back. So second pillar of my 4 pillars of self-development is curiosity. And so as we saw with the journaling prompts, it's about getting curious. It's asking questions, right? That's why I love journaling. But I will ask you to focus on what the beliefs about yourself are that you're holding onto and whether they're true. To question them. Some critical thinking. Psychology 101 for psychology undergrads. I think in the first slide was critical thinking. I was going to be a TA for it after the master's. But anyway, I'm going to give you an example here without taking up too much time. But the invitation is to look back, to heal those wounds, because some of the beliefs that we internalized hurt us, right? To recondition, to reprogram, like that belief isn't serving me anymore and it wasn't true. I'm going to put that down and I'm going to put something else instead. And it's easier to do when you understand like where it's from and how it works, right? So I've had clients that have struggled with anxiety and they had no idea like why they were so anxious and procrastinating and blah, blah, blah. But then when we did the work and we dug deep and we looked, and in their past when they were 6 and they went to school and something, whatever, it's like something just completely, you'd think unrelated, but we carry that with us, right? And so it's an opportunity to figure out what it is, get to the root, and then to be able to put it down and replace it, right? Okay, a little example is I was told many things growing up, by my parents, by my sister, by, you know, all these different people that I had in my environment. But there was one thing that my mom said, which was actually a good thing. And this is also a little tip, that we remember the negative things, right? Like my sister would tell me I was selfish and self-absorbed all the time. My parents told me I was reckless, irresponsible, like all these things that I internalized as my identity. I was a textbook fuck up, and I believed I was a fuck up, right? But there was one thing my mom said to me always, ever since I was really, really, really like little. She said, when you put your mind to something, you do it. Like hard-headed, strong-willed, determined, driven. Like when you put your mind to something, you do it. And I took that, I internalized that. And I remember in recent years, like saying to her, you know, you always said that when I want to do something, I do it. And she's like, because you did. She's like, it's not like I said that to inspire you or to motivate you. Like ever since you were a baby, you wanted to do something, you did it. You were 1 year old, you take the milk out of the fridge, you put it in the microwave, pressed all the buttons, and then took it out. Like when you wanted to do something, you were very driven, very determined child, always. So she was reflecting back to me fact, like an observation about me. And that is something that I see really serves me. I've carried that through into adulthood with me. And so it's a belief that has served me. But equally, there's like 10 others that don't, you know? And so that one I know is true, because my mom, even like not that I would need her to validate that, but she has said to me, like, it was an observation, it was a fact. And then when I look at the other things, let's say it's a negative one, like you're selfish. Was I selfish? Maybe. But as a child, are we not supposed, we're egocentric as children anyway, right? Like psychology grad here, right? Like as children, we are in a way selfish and self-absorbed, right? It's part of the development, I think, to a certain age. But the idea is that true? Am I selfish? Am I a selfish person? And can I maybe take that belief and channel it into a way that will serve me? So yeah, I'm prioritizing myself. I do prioritize myself, and if that's selfish, then fine, but it's going to make me a better me to show up for everyone else. So selfishness is actually selflessness. Like now I really wholeheartedly believe that, and I say that and I advocate that and I preach that to all my clients. Like you have to put yourself first, because you need to get your needs met. Like on an airplane, oxygen mask, if you're not looking after you, you're not going to be able, you'll be useless to everybody else, right? So I really do feel that like we can, an invitation to look at the beliefs that you have internalized and where they began. Where did they originate? Dalia, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to add on to that because this is like so, I can feel this so deep, especially around the selfishness.
Yeah.
And I just want to add that if you are listening to this and you have been told that you're selfish or you think you're selfish, just because someone told you are does not mean you are. And the second thing is you really want to get clear on yourself is what is your intentions? Because if your intention was not to do something from a bad place, that doesn't make you selfish, because you are choosing to set a boundary and to do something for yourself. And you really actually want to look at the person who is telling you you're selfish from a very neutral place and see that you are most likely triggering them and triggering the fact that they don't know how to set boundaries within themselves. So they're literally projecting their things onto you, and they're actually admiring the fact that you can set those boundaries, and you're literally a mirror to them of what they aren't doing in their life. So you choosing and setting boundaries for yourself does not make you a selfish person.
Boom.
Selfish people do things to take away from other people, or they have a bad intention. If your intention is to set a clear boundary so that you can pour into yourself and then pour back from that full cup, that does not make you selfish.
By the way, little tip, I literally look up the definitions of words to check, am I actually selfish? So a selfish person, selfish is lacking consideration for other people, concerned chiefly with one's own personal profit or pleasure. I'm not selfish. I have too much consideration for other people. I'm a social entrepreneur, right? So I know I'm not selfish. But when most people think that selfish is just like self-absorbed, like you think about yourself all the time, right? Or you only looking out for yourself. But the idea here is that if you can self-prioritize, that's different. But definitely what you said, I really, really, really like that. And so why we get stuck, okay? So beyond the self-abandonment piece, which I already raised, we like patterns. Our psyche likes patterns. It's how we learn, right? Repetition. And we mentioned that too. But we have like 95% of our thoughts and belief, it's all on default, right? So it's on autopilot. It's just running on default. So we will always default back to the pattern that we know that is familiar to us. What is familiar? Our psyche perceives as safe. And our system is designed to keep us safe. That is its one main job: stay safe, stay alive, survival, right? And so you are wired to stay safe, which means you are wired to stay in the familiar, which means you are wired to stay in your comfort zone, which means you are wired to keep replaying the patterns that you already know. That is why it is so hard to change. That is why it is so hard to lock in the next identity shift as well, because if you don't repeat to reprogram, you will default back to the pattern that you know. And I say this from experience. So change equals a threat. The new you equals a threat. Your next big shift is threatening to your system. Your system is freaking out, going, what are you doing? No, 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 don't change. Okay. And I can just share a little bit here as well. Again, don't want to take up too much time, but I was an alcoholic. And so my pattern was don't want to drink, do want to drink, drink to escape, to numb, to whatever, get the benefits, the instant gratification out of it. Next day, hating myself, hangover, feel like shit. Why do I do this? What the fuck's wrong with me? Rinse, repeat, do it again and again and again. So there's shame spirals, it's self-sabotage, it's whatever, right? But I was doing the best that I could with what I had available to me. I was self-medicating, I was escaping, I was numbing, I was trying to keep myself safe. And the only thing I had available was alcohol. So that's what I was doing, right? So I've let go of the judgment. I do not judge myself. I don't shame myself anymore for doing what I did, because I was literally doing what I'm designed to do, which is stay safe, right? And I was trying to protect myself. It was actually self-loving in a funny way, right? But what I've seen now that I'm sober and I'm no longer addicted to alcohol, I have found my psyche being sneaky and getting addicted to other things like food or staying up late and social media. And the addiction, the shame spiral, the self-sabotaging pattern is familiar to my system. So it will latch onto it. It'll be like, that's familiar. That's going to make me feel safe. Right. And so then I see the same pattern play out in a different way. Right. And so my next big shift is to really try and find a way to stay safe while familiarizing my system with a new way of being. Okay, so you need to feel safe, and safety is the main thing. Like at the end of the day, that's what your system is wired for, safety. So feeling safe while shifting is key. I always recommend start small. Like that being said, I went cold turkey. Every time I make a big shift, I have to go like all in. But I believe that my system felt safe enough to do those leaps, and it took a long time to get there. Whereas if you want to maybe collapse time, you could start smaller and you can do incremental shifts, because I do believe that there were small shifts that happen until the big boom, right? Okay, then because I still have these patterns running in the background, I found myself leading up to this workshop using a tool that I share with my clients for me. And I was like, okay, this is the tool I'm going to share then. Personify your thoughts. So we were talking about self-talk, right? And there's also, you mentioned about the thoughts and like that you're not your thoughts. So I want to dig into this bit for a second. You are not your thoughts. Just like you're not a car, you drive the car, you sing a song, you're not the song. You drive a car, you're not the car. You think your thoughts, you're the thinker of your thoughts, you are not your thoughts, right? So that's how I like to explain it. Which means if you are being overpowered by your thinking mind, by your thoughts, realize that that is something you can change. You can take your power back and you can take control over your thoughts. You can decide if this thought is going to be entertained or not. Okay, so it's bringing awareness and making conscious, intentional decisions to not have that run on autopilot, and bringing it to the awareness and saying this is something like, so when you say identifying your self-talk, that's what you're doing. You're bringing it out of the default, out of the autopilot, and bringing it to your awareness and saying, oh, this is something that's happening on default and I don't like that. I will now take my power back, right? And change it. So a lot of the work that I do goes from powerless as a survivor, as a victim, to empowered, right? To service provider, social entrepreneur, to powerful, to leader, right? A leader of self-leadership as well. So you are taking your power back in this tool, right? So a little thing that I like to do is imagine that the negative thoughts, the patterns, the loops, the self-sabotage, the whatever it is, the self-doubt, right? Give those a name, distance yourself from them, like separate it from you so that you realize it's not like, because we identify and attach with our thoughts, right? So you're not your thoughts, it's someone else. Give it a name. Okay. So let's say your negative thoughts are called Harry. Okay. So let's say that, give me a negative thought that you have.
I literally, know you're bringing me back, and I love that you brought this up because I literally used it like when I first started doing this work, probably like not even when I first started, when I first got into this, like a good few years ago now, that was literally something that one of my coaches told me to do. And I used to call mine Dana, and it's a long story behind it, but you can literally have someone in your mind or someone comes to mind and you'll have a name. And I used to get to the point, I used to have fun with it, guys. Like, you can have fun with this as well. And I used to be like, okay, Dana, what are you saying today? And like literally like that, I would have a conversation around the thoughts that were coming up. It could be a negative thought. I'm so fucking stupid. I made a mistake right now. I like something didn't go to plan. I'm so fucking stupid. Why did I do that?
So we're going to give that a name. That's going to be Harry. Okay. The fact that you call yourself stupid when something doesn't go right, that's not serving you. That's not true. There's nothing wrong with you if something goes wrong, right? And you're like, so you call that Harry. Sorry, I was just like going back to the origination of the thing, but never mind. We've already covered that. Call it Harry, right? Or whatever name you want to give it. And then you want to appreciate that thought. You want to say, thank you. Thank you for trying to come and keep me safe. So you're knocking on the door, you're saying, hi, I'm here. You know me, like let me in. And you're saying, no, I know that I know you. I know that I know you very well. And that's going to make me feel safe. But I don't like you. I know you, but that doesn't mean I have to entertain you. And you don't have to come in for tea. It's fine. You can go on your way. Thank you. But no, thank you. But you appreciate the intention behind that thought, however negative that thought is, because judgment, self-judgment, and shaming is a cock block to change. You got to accept it. You got to realize that it's there for a reason. Otherwise, it wouldn't be there. Okay. So we appreciate that thought. We say thanks, but no thanks. And then we invite in the thought that we do want. So if you can take a minute and just jot down the self-taught, you can even go back to the prompt that Dahlia gave, but have a look, have a think, try and identify, because I'm pretty sure that you can come up with a thought that you have recently thought to yourself that is self-deprecating or belittling or demeaning or putting yourself down in some way. When I started doing this self-talk work, I realized how abusive I was to myself. It was shocking, like shocking. So yeah, I think it'll be pretty easy to think of something, give it a name, and then what the different thought, the more positive one, the more kinder version of that same thought would be. Okay, so it doesn't have to be the opposite. It's important that it's believable. It's important that in that moment when you're saying like, okay, that something went wrong, you're stupid, what fucking idiot, then it'd be like, something went wrong and that's okay. I can try again. Or it doesn't reflect my intelligence if something goes wrong. Like you want to kind of correct that thought in a more compassionate way. I always also, another little tip that I actually didn't plan to mention, but I will mention, imagine with your self-talk that you're speaking to a child, because sometimes, say best friend or whatever, but I like to a child because there's something about a child that makes you soften, that makes you a lot more compassionate and kind when it's a child. And we are talking to our inner child because a lot of the self-talk originated in our childhood. Okay, so imagine you're talking to a child. How would that child feel if when they messed up, they'd say, you fucking idiot? You would never say that to a child, would you? So why'd you say it to yourself? Right? And I find that that's a really powerful way to kind of look at it. And so if you then say, what would you say to that child? You would say, it's okay. You can have another go. Look how clever you are for trying again. Like look how whatever, resilient you are for having another go, So how would you talk to a child? And talk to yourself that way because it's your inner child that is coming up a lot of the time. Okay. I think I covered all the things that I wanted to cover with that one. So now I'll move on to the visualization. Okay.
I'm gonna enjoy this now. I'm gonna fully embrace and enjoy this right now.
Yes. Okay. Shake it out, get comfy. I'll put on some music, I think, in the background. Okay, I'm gonna tap into. So close your eyes, get comfy, make sure there's not gonna be any distractions before we start. If you need to pause, go pee, whatever, put your phone on silent. Okay. Take a deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. And again, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Keep breathing like this just to regulate your breath, your heart rate. I just want to mention how powerful our imagination is. Our body does not really know the difference between imagined and real. So tap in and feel all the feelings as we go. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Relax. I'd like you to imagine yourself in a field. In your bare foot, you can feel the grass and the earth under your feet. What does the grass feel like? How does it feel? I want you to really imagine that you're there. There's a breeze on your face, you can feel it. Then you walk through the field. You come to a line of trees. It's a little forest. And you walk inside and you can smell the forest smells and the drop in temperature as you enter, because it's all in the shade, and you feel the energy of these big, old, wise trees. It's like electric. You can feel them. The ground underneath you is no longer grassy. It's now earth and moss and tree roots. And there's a little clearing up ahead, you notice. You can hear some water. You're curious to go see what it is. And as you get nearer, the sound of the water gets louder. And you can see a beautiful little lake, little spring lake with a waterfall on the other side of it. The water is very clear. You put a toe in to check and the water is warm. You could not be happier. You get to jump in. You're like, I'm going for a swim. You get in the water. You swim up to the waterfall. And you see that there's a little ledge that you can climb up onto. You climb up onto the ledge and you sit underneath the waterfall. It's not a very big one, but it feels like a big warm shower raining down on your head. And it's so warm, and you can feel the water rushing past you, around you, all over you. One of those really awesome warm showers that you like to have, but it's engulfing your whole body. And as you do this, I want you to imagine all those self-limiting beliefs and the negative things that you say about yourself, that you think about yourself, that you believe about yourself. I want you to imagine them just getting washed off you. And as that happens, you feel so safe. It's not pieces of you that are getting washed off of you. You're not losing anything. It is cleansing. They weren't meant to be yours to carry anyway. You were meant to let them go right here, right now. That's why you found this waterfall. It washes them away. You feel them leave your body. You're feeling lighter, liberated, freer. You stand up on that ledge and you dive into the pool. And as you swim through the water, you glide, you feel like you're flying, weightless. It is so freeing. Then you come up for air, and it's a big gasp of air, as though you're being reborn. You feel new, fresh, free. And then suddenly you see a figure on the edge of the lake. And the curiosity gets the better of you. You go approach that figure. And as you get closer, you see that it is you, but way into the future. It's 90-year-old you. And she's looking at you with so much love. She's got this look on her face, like the look of a mother to a child. It literally looks like she thinks you're magic. And you get out the water and you go up to her and you kneel at her feet. She's sitting on a rock. You put your hands in her hands and you say, you ask her a question, something that you want to know. If a question doesn't come through, then just ask her, what do I need to hear? What have you got to tell me? What wisdom are you here to bestow upon me today? Or you can ask a specific question. Maybe something's been on your mind. Then she looks at you with those loving eyes. She leans forward and she whispers her answer in your ear. Then both of you stand up. She tells you how proud she is of you. That she's always, always watching over you. That she's always supporting you. She is you. She also says she misses that body. And that she loves you very, very, very much. That you have always been loved. She gives you a hug. And you melt into each other. Because she is you. And that's it. Open your eyes. Whenever you're ready. Made me all teary.
Yeah, that was awesome. Wow, that was really powerful.
Yeah.
And you totally made me want to go to a waterfall. I'm literally going to take note of that because there's so many beautiful ones here. And I'm like, wow. She was telling me to just be myself, like literally giving me that permission, which I think was so powerful because, wow, I think it's so easy for a lot of us to look for that validation from someone else and outside of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that was so powerful to like tap into ourselves, but that future version, and let her give you that permission.
I'm telling you, I'm a little bit shaky because it is so powerful going there. That's why it came to me, I think it was last night, that this is what I wanted to do in the visualization. I've never done it before. I've done like different version of it, but this one specifically of visiting the old you. I remember I told you that I might do writing the letter from old you, and I thought, let's just visit her. Let's just go and have a chat.
That was and I've done visualizations before, and when you were saying that, I literally thought you were going to say like, and there's your inner child, and I was like, I've done a lot of this work, and I don't know why, I just didn't expect you to say your 90-year-old self, and I was like, oh wow, she's thrown me off now, but like in the best way. But that was powerful. Like, especially if you are someone listening to this and you've done a lot of inner child work, like that is taking things to another level. So thank you, because I definitely,
Yeah.
wow, I feel like light now.
I swear I'm still shaky because it's very real, the the power and the shift that comes from those kinds of experiences. I remember first time I did it, I wrote. So by the way, you can journal as 90-year-old you to yourself and what she has to say and just free write, like just free write and see what comes out. And I was sobbing, like I was sobbing. And I've done these visualizations where you meet like your higher self, and I've had people cry on those. So I'm really curious to hear how that went for you and what came through. Like I genuinely love to hear what people say and like what comes through for people. First time I ever did a guided visualization, by the way, it was to inner child me, and I asked her, um, like, what's your dream? Like, I was like, what is it? What's your dream? And she goes, to be a grown up. That was my dream. As a kid, I just wanted to be a grown up. And I came out there like, shit, like I should be happy every day and just great because my dreams come true, you know? So yeah, so I always find it sometimes things come through that you don't expect. And then that's where it's like, holy shit, that's where a shift comes from sometimes. So I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, I just want you to know as well, you can always access that. It's wisdom that's inside of you, right? Like she's in there. So you can use that visualization again and again every time you want to visit her, every time you have a question for her, or you could just journal it out. So like when you practice it a couple of times, it's easier. It gets easier and easier over time. Okay. So conclusion, Dahlia, my love. Okay. We said that you would walk away with a clear identity anchor for your next big shift. And I feel that with the things that we've done, the tools that you shared, there is a lot of clarity there over what it is you're going for, right? Like where you're headed. A plan for reinforcing that identity daily. So we have journaling prompts that can help you with that. We have visiting Granny You that can help you with that. But shifting, like reinforcing the identity daily, what I do want to add here as a tip that I like is playlist. So when you feel into what this future you feels like, which is something that you did in one of the prompts, right? Question non-negotiables, like number 5, I think, and there was another one as well. But how can you break that then down to be like, this is my non-negotiable every day, or this is something that I'm going to do to tap into that feeling of who it is that I'm becoming, right? Also with your visualization that you did at that end piece as well, like tap into that feeling. So find a song that helps you feel that feeling, because the idea is the energy frequency, right? So you want to tap into that frequency, that energy, that vibration of the woo world, right? So I like music I find very helpful. And there's journaling. I do future self journaling prompts, a whole bunch of different daily journaling things I do as well, and morning yoga sessions I do. And yeah. Okay. We also said that you'd get tools to dismantle old beliefs and conditioning. We covered a whole bunch of that, and you can use the personifying tool, just get head start on that, and a deeper understanding of who you're becoming and how to step into her now. So we did that too. Woo! So next steps. Okay, Dahlia, would you like to say how people can find you, connect with you, dive deeper into this work with you?
Yeah. So the best way to find me is probably on Instagram. It's literally just my name at Dahlia Kemble. I'm so used to doing podcasts. I was like, you can find it in the show notes. I'm like, we're not on a podcast right now.
No, but I'll link your links below, so that's all good.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram. If you want to deepen this work and take it further and customize it and personalize it to you, I also have one-on-one coaching. So you are welcome to reach out on there, and then we can hop on a call and see if it is a good fit and how I can best support you. And I also lead a free community, which is called the Pink Sheep Collective, and you can reach out to me. Yeah, you can reach out to me on WhatsApp, on Instagram for the link there. And I'm posting prompts pretty regularly in that community as well. And it's a bunch of growth-minded women who are rising together and being their best selves and doing this work on a regular basis. So if you want to be surrounded by more of that, you are welcome to join us inside there as well.
I love the prompts and I love the community that you've built. I highly recommend. And for me, if you want to see how to dive deeper with me, then you can check out my website for updated info, because don't know when you're actually watching this. So emilykatzconsulting.com. Everything will be there. You can get to know a bit more about me and my work and my story and everything, and also whatever I have available at the moment. For example, if you're watching this end of 2025, I'm not taking on one-to-ones. I'm only focusing on my group program. That being said, I might take on one-to-one as a mentorship because what I do is a little bit different. It's a lot more high touch. As a mentor and consultant. So, but you can check all that out on my website and feel free to reach out to me as well if you just want to ask some questions. Emily Katz on Facebook. Again, everything will be linked below. Beyond Therapy with Emily is my current handle on Instagram and TikTok, but who knows if I may change my mind and change that too. I evolve quite regularly. But what I would like to add is that I have recently added a monthly mantra, which I think would be a nice progression to like keep you anchored into this next big shift workshop as well that we're doing. The work that we're doing is brave and it's beautiful. And sometimes it's a lot and it is hard to stick to it and stay accountable. It's a thing that I really struggle with. So once a month, instead of a newsletter, by the way, I looked as I was like giving this a makeover. It's been 2 years of my newsletters anniversary. So I've changed it.
Celebration.
Thank you. It will now be once a month. I'm going to send you a nudge or a reminder, an affirmation, exercise, prompt, whatever it is that I'm feeling in the moment of that month, because I do it very much like intuitively. But it will be to pull you back into your strength and remind you who the fuck you are. And so it's called my monthly mantra. And you can sign up for that at the bottom of my website. But I'll link it below as well. I've got lots of links to put in. Okay.
We love links.
But yeah, so that's that. And that's it. We're done. Yeah.
I love it.
Dalia,
I love
you've
it.
been amazing. I love you. I love what you do. I love your work. Thank you, thank you, thank you for making the time and being flexible with me and baby and computer messing up and blah, 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 blah. And thank you for your space that you have created and your community, because otherwise I probably also wouldn't have come to think to collaborate with you on this. So thank you. And yeah, and thank you to everybody watching.
Thank you.
Happy that you're here and that you're doing this and that you're showing up for yourselves and that you're showing up for us too. It's why we keep doing what we're doing, right? So without you, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. So thank you to you as well. And yeah.
Mwah. Thank you.
Bye, hon.
Mwah.